So the challenge one is to add additional campaign member status in the campaign member object for a particular type of campaign record type. So we are going to create a record triggered flow for this. Expected output for this is we are going to add the declined and registered, and yeah, so we will not change anything against the is default and the responded one. So apart from the sent and responded, we are going to add the declined and registered member status.
Let's fill out some details. Let's put the status maybe in progress. Start date 28th, end date 30th. All of the details, I think we don't need to fill it here. That's fine, we can leave it as it is. So once we have created the campaign, we can see here all the details are filled. In the related tab, if you see the campaign member status, so there are just two status here, the responded and the sent. So the responded check mark is against the responded here, and the is default check mark is corresponding to the sent member status here.
So let's create a new flow. We're going to create a record triggered flow here. You can choose auto layout or freeform. I'll prefer freeform for myself. So this is our start element. So we are going to configure the trigger when a record is created and after the record is saved. So I'm going to choose here the campaign object. And conditions, let's specify none because we don't have any specific record types. Let's put an assignment element here with the name member status. Let's create a new resource of type variable. API name, maybe we can keep status, new status. We need to add new status here. Data type should be text. It's a collection variable, a variable for input. Okay, so here we're going to add the value registered, new assignment. So again, in the new status variable, we are going to add the value declined. Done. We're going to connect here. Now let's create a loop to loop over the status values. Status. Sorry, it was a decision one. We're going to get here the loop over status. Collection variable is the new status variable from first item to last. We're going to connect from assignment to loop here. After looping over the different new values, we are going to create records on the campaign member status object. So we begin from here. Campaign member status. How many records to create one? Here we're going to use separate resources and literal values.
object will be campaign member status. So here we're going to set the values in the field of campaign member status object. Uh, Let me put on the campaign ID under which, so campaign ID will be from the global record of campaign here. I.id, so I'm going to find the campaign ID. Campaign ID. And the label, we're going to enter the values of status. So we're going to choose a current item from the loop over status. Done. Then you're going to save the flow. You can put the description. So this is basically your only document that you can have. Maybe we are going to add new campaign member status. In the campaign member status object, or maybe something which is more user friendly, or which you can actually comprehend later in a better way. Save, activate. We're going to link back it to the loop. Okay, so now let's create the campaign to see actually whether our flow is working or not. Let's create a new campaign. Let's put the campaign name. Let's put any type, maybe webinar. Status in progress. Let's put a start date of 28th May and date of 30th of May. Let's save the campaign. Okay, now let's check whether new campaign member status are created or not. Here you can actually see on the screen. So we created declined and registered campaign member status, which are actually shown here under the campaign member status related list.
So the challenge number second is to change the default ticks for the is default and responded. By default, the is default is checked against the sent status and responded is checked against the responded status. We want to play around a little bit and have it as shown here. So that's the expected output. We want the is default to be checked against the registered, the responded against the responded and the declined.
As seen from the screen, we can see the responded is checked against the responded and is default is checked against the sent. We are going to change these ticks. So in order to achieve that, we're going to make some changes in the already created flow. So as we can see, we have two assignments here, registered and declined. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the declined value from here. So in the loop currently, I just have the registered value against the new status collection variable. So it's going to loop over it. And let's keep here the is default as true. Now let's create a record for has responded. So let's put the value here against the campaign ID. From the record, let's take the campaign ID. For the label, we're going to manually assign a value here of type declined, and let's keep the has responded as true against it. Now let's connect the loop and the newly created record. So after the last item, it's going to create this record. Let's save it, activate. So now let's test whether our flow is working correctly or not. Let's create a new campaign. Let's put campaign chest 5. Maybe of type conference, and let's keep the status as planned. Let's put the start date. You can put any stop date, and let's save the campaign. So here under the related list of campaign member status, we can actually see the responder has come against the declined member status. It's being kept for the responded member status as well. And for the registered, we have its default ticked against it.
So the challenge number 3 is to remove default sent and responded member status from the campaign member status object. So we are going to achieve this using the record triggered flow, and our expected output is so earlier you can see there were 4 member status: declined, registered, responded, and sent. And after removing the responded and sent, I just want to retain the declined, registered, and the default is default, and the responded checks. So that's the scenario currently. Now, in order to remove the sent and responded default member status, we have to make some changes in our flow. So let's take the delete record element. Delete default status. Specify conditions. You can document the description here for the ease of other users or admins. We're going to take campaign member object, campaign member status object, sorry. We're going to choose it when the custom condition logic is met. We are going to specify the condition here after putting the field and the respective values. So we're going to specify here when the label equals sent, or this next condition is when the label is equal to responded, and the campaign ID we're going to refer here from the global record campaign variable. So the logic will be when first or second and the campaign ID equal to the global record variable ID of the campaign. Done. Then we are going to connect here create record and the delete record. Let's save this version and activate it. Now let's verify the result. Let's create a new campaign. Let's put campaign test 6. Let's keep the type, maybe public relation, and the status should be completed. Start date, let's put 13th of May. Then stop date, we can put 30th of May. Let's save the campaign. Here, under the campaign member status list, we can only see two member status, which is declined and registered. So we have successfully deleted the sent and responded default member status. So challenge number 4 is to copy the phone number from the account object whenever contact object is created. So on the account, we have this phone number, and on the contact one, we want to populate the same number from the account object. Now, to accomplish this, we are going to create record triggered flow. Let's choose freeform. Let's start and choose our object as contact object. So a specific condition will be none. And here we are going to say before the record is saved and after a record is created. So let's choose the decision element. Let's label it as account populated. And here we're going to check actually if the account ID is not null. So let's put the label as ID account. So the condition that we are going to specify here is if the account ID from the contact record so let's choose I think I chose the wrong one. Let's take global contact record and let's choose the correct account ID, and the operator should be is null. Let's put value as false. Let's connect the start element with the decision element. Now let's take the get record element and let's label it. Let's call it get accounts. Let's choose the object. Let's say so your description is the only document. That's your chance to actually write everything clearly. Now let's choose the object as the account and let's specify the conditions here. So I'm going to choose the field here. Let's say account ID, and the value should be account ID. So we have referenced this from the contact record. And let's connect the get records and the decision element. So this is the new assignment element that I'm going to take. Let's label it as populate phone on contact. So I'm here going to assign the variable from the contact object. Let's take the phone field. So this is the field that we are going to populate, and this is going to be equal to the phone field that we have on the account object. So from the account that we created there in get records, let's take the phone field from here. That's done. Now let's connect the get records and the assignment element. Let's save our flow. So let's put the name here as populate contact phone from account. It's quite clear from the name. Let's activate the flow. So now let's check whether the number is populating correctly on the contact object or not. So we are going to create a new contact. Maybe let's put the salutation as miss. Let's put the first name, Nina. Let's put the last name, any simple last name. Let's choose the account and click here save. So as you can see, the number is populating correctly. So this is the number. If we go to the account object, you can see for the account name Nina, the number is same. So our flow is working correctly. Okay, so let's proceed on the challenge number 5. So we have to create a record when a new record is created under another object. So the challenge 5 is to create an opportunity record when a new account record is created. So let's create a new flow. Let's choose record triggered flow, preform. So here, to start the record triggered flow, we are going to have two conditions: when a record is created and after the record is saved. We're going to choose the object as account. Let's specify the condition as null. Let's take the create record element. Let's label it as create opportunity record. Set here use separate resources and literal values. Let's choose the object as opportunity, as we are planning to create an opportunity record based on if an account record is created. So let's set the field values. Just to begin with, I'll show you can customize it. So we're going to put the opportunity name as the account name. Let's go to the global account variable. So it's the global record of accounts, and we are going to choose the account name. Let's set the account ID on opportunity object. So let's take it from the account global record. Now let's put the stage name as, you can take it based on your requirements. Let's take it as qualification. Let's put the close date as, let's create a new resource for this of type formula. You can set here date, where data type of type date, formula. Let's get today's date. Now let's connect the start element to the create record element. Let's save our flow. You can specify the description. Let's activate the flow. All right, now let's see if our flow is actually working. So on the account object, let's create a new account. Let's keep the name as sample account flow. No other field is required. So you can actually fill other fields according to your own requirement, or we can leave it as it is just to check the flow. So an account is successfully created, and here you can actually see. So this is an account. On the related tab, you can see opportunity. Opportunity record is created with the name sample account form. That's our account name as well. If we click here, so you can see it's created, and the stage is qualification and close date is of today. So fields are populated correctly. So the challenge number 6 is to create a welcome screen for the user on the account object. So we are going to use the screen flow type of flow here. The expected output is, so on the account object we are going to put this flow, and it's going to show this dummy text, hi username, then welcome to the Salesforce. Okay, so now here on the account object we can see, so there's this activity and charter tab on the right hand side. We want to display the welcome screen here. So let's start creating the flow. Let's choose the screen flow for this. Freeform. And here we're going to drag here the screen element. Let's drag the display text here. Let's choose the API name. I'm choosing here welcome text. Let's say hi. And for the first name, let's insert it through the resource. Let's go to the global user record and choose the first name. So here we have inserted the first name. Now let's put some text just for the display purpose. This is the reference text. So these are the screen properties. Welcome screen. I will do. The API name is automatically chosen. Let's remove the header and the footer, and let's say done. Connect the start element with the screen. Let's save our workflow. Welcome screen. Save. Please just ignore this warning and activate the flow. So the challenge number 7 is to create a screen flow. And we are going to create the campaign record using the screen flow, and we're going to debug it. So let's first see how a campaign screen looks like. So let's create a new campaign. So we can see here campaign name, status, and start date is of type required. Also, the status has some values in it. Start date we can actually choose. So we're going to prepare screen flow through which we can actually create a campaign record which has input of all the required fields. So we're going to create a new screen flow here. Click next. So we're going to drag and drop this screen element. Let's put the label as
campaign screen. Now let's drag here the text field and let's label it as campaign name. Let's put it as required. If you want, you can put the error message or the help text here. As of now, I'm just leaving it as blank. For the start date, I'm going to drop the drag input here, date input here. Let's put it as campaign start date. Required. If you want, you can set the default value. Let's click done. Connect start with the screen element. We're going to add another screen element here to get the pick list value. But before that, let's get the pick list values in the resource. So we're going to have the pick list choice set resource type and the API name. So if we go back here to the campaign screen, so it has the status and it has 4 values under it. So let's fetch those 4 values. Object is campaign. Data type is pick list. Field is status. And you can set here, I'm setting it as ascending for the sort order. Done. Now we're going to create another screen element here. And let's set the label as campaign screen 2. We're going to search the component as pick list here, and let's drag and drop. Let's set the label as stage. Data type as text. And for the choice, let's get the status values. Done. Now let's connect these two. And after that, we are going to create record of campaign object. Use separate resources and literal values. Create record of campaign. Set the fields as campaign. So in the name, campaign name, we are going to put the campaign name. Under the start date, you're going to have screen component start date. Under the stage, status, we're going to have stage screen component. Let's jump. Click the screen with the create record and let's say, so now let's debug the flow. Let's create on the debug.
So let's put the campaign name as campaign 3. Start date as 31st of May. Let's take the stage as in progress. Okay, so it says all done. Now, if we go back to the campaign screen and let's refresh it. So as you can see here, campaign 3 campaign is created. So if we check the details, it has this campaign name as campaign 3, status as in progress, and start date as 31st of May, which is correct according to our input. Hi, so challenge 8 is to create an active checkbox, and it should be ticked for the newly created campaign records. So as of now, we are seeing for the newly created campaign records, the active box here is not ticked, which is equivalent to false. So we want that default to be an active. So we want active campaign records by default. So let's create a new flow. Record triggered flow. So we want the flow to be triggered when the record is created and after the record is saved. So we are going to choose the object here as campaign. So condition we are going to specify here is when the active checkbox is false. And we want to update the record. So update campaign record. Object is campaign. So the condition is when the campaign ID here is equivalent to the ID of the record which actually started this flow. Campaign ID. And for that particular record, we want the active checkbox to be true. So we're going to link here start element with the update records. Let's save it and activate campaign records. You can activate the flow. And now let's see what happens. So earlier, we created a screen flow which was able to create campaign records for us. Now let's again debug it. Let's run this flow. Let's put the campaign name as campaign 6. Start date, let's choose 31st. Next. And let's choose the stage as in progress. Next. And now let's go back to the campaign and see whether a campaign got created or not. So we created the campaign 6. If I do click on that, I can check the details here. And you can actually see all details are populated currently. So challenge number 9 is to create an opportunity record when an account is created, and then create a contract role related to the opportunity when an opportunity is created. So this is the opportunity, and we can see the contact role here. So we're going to create a record under the contact role. The first part to create an opportunity whenever an account is created that has been covered in the challenge 5. So now let's check before the flow. What's the current scenario here? Let's create a new account. So let's put the account name as test20. Let's choose the contact here as Andrew Young. So this is the lookup field that I have created on the account object. We click save. So let's go to the related tab and check the opportunity. And you can see our opportunity is created with the same account name and the stage as qualification. We don't have any contact role. So that states that our challenge number 5 workflow, flow is working correctly. So now let's create the flow to populate the contact role whenever an opportunity record is created. So let's create the new flow. Let's create the Autolaunched Flow. So what we want here is we want to create the contact role record. The object is contact role, opportunity contact role. And we are going to populate here the opportunity ID. So let's create a variable. And the data type, let's take it as text, available for input. Now let's create the contact, choose the contact ID, and let's create a variable. Data type, text, available for input. Let's choose the role as business user. Done. Now let's start with the create records. Let's save the flow. And activate it. Now let's create the process builder. So in the process builder, we are going to pass the values to the variables that we have created for the contact ID and for the opportunity ID. When a record changes, for opportunity, so we're going to add the object here as opportunity because we want the record to be created when the opportunity is created. Save. Let's add the criteria. So there's just no criteria here. Under the opportunity, we have specified when opportunity is created, then it should be built. The criteria name, no criteria. Let's add the action. So let's choose flows here, and action name we populate IDs. Flow is create contact role. Now let's assign the values to the variables, field reference and
Let's take the account ID because we cannot directly go to the contact, as you can see. So let's go to the account ID with the caret symbol, and now let's add the contact. Let's go to the contact, and now let's add the contact ID. Here it is. For the opportunity, let's take opportunity ID. So it should be under the opportunity. And now let's save it and activate our process builder. Now let's check whether our flow and process builder is working correctly. So under the accounts, I'm going to create an account. So this time it should create an opportunity record as well as the contact role under the opportunity. So now let's create an account. Let's maybe put a just 30. Let's choose the contact here as Andy Yank, and let's save. So just 30 account is created. So let's check the details. Yeah, they're there. Let's go to the related tab, and an opportunity is created for us. Let's click on the opportunity to see. So an opportunity is created with the stage qualification uh, and today's date that was there in the challenge 5 flow. And here we can see contact role is created. We have a contact and a year that we passed while creating the account object, and the role is business user. So this is what we have kept as default. It's showing there as Nina because the contact on the Andy Young is Nina. We're going to change that. We're going to link it to our account of interest, and it will be populated there accordingly. So the contact name is Andy Yang and role is business user that we kept as default. So before we begin this flow, let's first deactivate the already created process builder on the opportunity. Now reason for that is because we are populating contact role from the um, the contact on the contact role from the by referencing on the account object. So we will not be able to create opportunities directly because of this process builder that you can explore why it's not why it will not work. So I'm just currently deactivating to demonstrate the current flow. So the challenge then is to change the default percent value of probability field on the opportunity object. So the probability field is of percent type, and we are going to change the default value of it. We are going to create the flow. So we are going to create the auto-launched flow here. And let's choose the free form. And here we are going to actually update the records. So we are going to update the probability percent for the already created opportunity. So here we are going to pass update opportunity percent. Specify conditions. The object will be opportunity. So the condition will be the ID we are going to have here is let's create a resource for that. Opportunity ID. The data type will be text available for input,
And now we are going to, when this condition is met, we want to set the probability to 100. So for all the created opportunities, we wanted to set to 100. Here we have specified one condition, that when the ID is equal to the opportunity ID. So this opportunity ID, we're going to set the value of this one in the process builder. So let's save this one. So now let's create the process builder. Let's create the new process builder. So let's put the name as create opportunity percent. When the record changes, so we are going to choose here the object as opportunity. Only when the record is created. Add criteria. If you want, you can set here the criteria. Then the probability is 10% or something. But for here, I'm just putting no criteria for this one. And action type will be flows. Action name will be populate IDs, populate ID, uh, opportunity probability percent. Let's set the ID as opportunity ID, choose and save it. Let's activate this process builder. Now let's verify whether our process builder and flow is working correctly. So let's create an opportunity here. Let's put the opportunity as test 16. And let's choose the stage as prospecting, close date 31st. And now let's save. So here the opportunity is created, and we can see the probability percent is 100% for this one. So it's our process builder and flow is working.